Hey everyone, Don with Breja Toneworks, and thanks for watching. Today's video is about a modified four-way Telecaster mod. This is an updated video of one that I had done before to correct an issue that I had with the switch I was using in that particular video. Now some of you may know there's already a four-way traditional Telecaster mod in which you replace the three-way switch that comes standard with a four-way, and what you'll end up gaining is a fourth position in which the neck and the bridge pickup, not only do you get them in parallel, but you can also get them in series, and then you obviously just have the neck or the bridge independently. Now the switching for that mod works like this. In the back position you'll just have the bridge by itself. Then in position 2 you'll have the bridge and the neck in parallel. In position 3 you will just have the neck by itself, and finally in position 4 you would have the bridge and the neck in series. Now I personally never liked this mod because the switching seemed kind of odd. Having position number 3 suddenly be the neck and then you're back to the two pickups together, it just wasn't intuitive for me. So there's another mod that I have in which the middle two positions, 2 and 3, are actually the series and the parallel, so your two positions are always going to have your bridge and your neck together, and then the outer portions of the switch in position 1 or position 4 you'd have the bridge by itself or the neck. It's far more intuitive, at least for me. You guys can give it a try and see what you think. Alright, so let's get started. We have our traditional Telecaster setup here. We've got our neck pickup, we've got our bridge pickup, we've got a four-way switch, we've got a volume pot, we've got a tone pot, and then our output jack. As always, we identify the lugs on the pots and the switch. On the lugs, I have L1, 2, 3. 2 is always in the middle. Please note that when the pots are inverted, I don't change the order. On the four-way switch, on the left side, it's A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the right side, it's B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, as always, we start with grounding. We're going to take a central grounding point. I'm going to use the top of the volume pot. We're going to ground the top of the tone pot to there and take another wire out to our bridge ground. Remember to ground lug L3 of that top pot, otherwise it will not be a volume pot. We'll move on to the output jack. We're going to take a ground wire, obviously, from that central grounding point and go to the ring portion of the jack. And we're going to go from L2 of the volume pot to the tip portion of the output jack. Next is our capacitor. You can use whichever type of capacitor you want, whatever value you want. These are completely subjective. It's whatever you hear in your head. We're going to take one end of the capacitor and we're going to ground it. You can either go to the volume pot ground or you can actually go to the top of that tone pot itself. Doesn't matter. The other end of the capacitor will go to L2 of that tone pot. Now, in order for a four-way mod to work on a Telecaster, if you have the metal cover over the neck pickup, you do have to separate one of the wires that is used to ground that cover so that we can use it when it comes time for doing this mod. So looking at the screen here, you can see normally if you have a covered neck pickup, there will be a wire that's kind of a grounding wire, if you will, coming from that cover to the ground wire of the pickup. You need to cut that and you need to add a new wire in so that we can use that for this particular mod. If you do not do this, this mod will not work. Now, if your pickup is not covered, you don't have to worry. You only need to use the two wires that are there. This only applies if you have a covered neck pickup, so please pay attention. Okay, so now we're going to actually wire up that neck pickup. So we're going to take the hot wire coming off of there, and that is going to go to B2 of our four-way switch. The ground wire, the traditional ground wire from that pickup, is going to go to A5 of the four-way switch. Now the new wire that's on there that we just added for the cover is actually going to ground itself to the top of that volume pot. Next we'll wire up the bridge pickup. The hot is going to go to B1 on the four-way switch, and the ground is going to go to that central grounding point again on the top of the volume pot. Now we have a couple switch wires that we need to add. We need to take a wire from B3 on the four-way switch, and we're going to go to L1 of the volume pot. Then we need to add a jumper from B2 to B3 of the four-way switch. Next is a wire from A4 to the ground portion of the volume pot. Then we need a jumper from A2 down to A4 on that switch. And lastly, we need a crossover jumper from A3 to B4. And lastly, we need to have a wire from L1 on the volume pot to L3 on the tone pot. And that's it. We've now completed the modified four-way mod for your Telecaster. So let's take a look at what's actually happening. All right, in position 1, you're going to have the same thing you have on any of your other Telecaster mods. You're going to have your bridge pickup all by itself. Now in position 2, you're going to have your bridge and your neck in parallel. This is on a standard Telecaster. This would be your middle position. So now in position 3, the bridge and the neck are going to be in series. So again, this is different than the standard four-way in which you have to move your switch all the way to the end where your neck position would be. And this is what I'm saying. This mod is more intuitive. And lastly, in the final 4th position, you will just have your neck pickup alone. Well, there you go. This is the modified four-way Telecaster mod. Nothing wrong with the traditional one. If you like that, if you're used to it, go ahead with it. This one, again, just gives you that series in parallel right next to each other. You're not skipping an entire position on the switch to get to them. Hope you enjoyed this. As always, if you have any questions on this mod, please let me know at brejatoneworks@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and remember, tone, it's not just a knob, it's sound advice.